Ambassador Detrani, thank you for joining us again. North Korea has launched another missile. What do you know about this missile that they launched on today, the 28th of September, 2022?
What I've seen in the media, JJ, these are two short-range ballistic missiles. They're probably Scud form missiles. We've seen they have many of these missiles. We've seen them launch many of these missiles. These are their short-range ballistic missile Scuds. And they have good accuracy if they needed to deploy them in a confrontation.
Give me a sense of the danger with this particular situation with these missiles, this launch, and the timing, and I guess the motive behind it.
Well, look, North Korea's playbook is pretty clear. We've seen it for, close to 30 years of negotiations with the North Koreans. When they're not happy, they show their displeasure by doing things like launching missiles or having a nuclear test, et cetera. In this case, with the visit of the Vice President Harris to South Korea, the upcoming visit to the DMZ, Pyongyang is showing their unhappiness with the Vice President's visit. This is, I hate to put it in this category, but this is typical behavior of the North Koreans to show that they're not pleased with developments with the United States in particular.
So then why, Joe, should we pay any attention to this? Why should we be dedicating any time, you and I and any other media, to discussing or reporting on this?
Well, because this could be the beginning of a few volleys. This could be the beginning of a few Scud launches and then followed by possibly a seventh nuclear test, possibly by something that's even more provocative, like an intercontinental ballistic missile test, something that they put on the launch pad that the South Koreans or with the United States may feel is an imminent threat to the United States or our allies and partners. And we take some preemptive action and that escalates. So this is escalatory. This is it's the beginning of it's a volley. And they're looking for a reaction from South Korea and the United States. And they may, or that could be a prelude to what they're planning to do with the seventh nuclear test. So it's something we need to watch and be mindful of.
So what's the situation inside North Korea right now with the government? We know that in the last couple of years, there have been some significant changes, not the least of which was Kim Jong Un deciding that he should not be as large a man as he was. He lost a lot of weight. He changed his image. And, the rise of his sister in terms of the political calculus of the country. Where do things stand now politically in that country?
I think politically in the country, I think Kim Jong Un has solidified his base. He's gotten rid of anyone who may have a different view as to developments. He's put loyalists around him. He's indicated as you just mentioned, his sister Kim Yo-jong will likely be his successor if something untoward happens to him. No, he's solidified, and he's talking about doing more for the people, economic development for the people, and the people are hurting in North Korea. That's the point, isn't it, JJ? 25 million people, they're hurting with drought and with floods and with significant malnourishment. So the domestic situation is not good in regards to the political, in regards to the economic issues. Politically, he's on solid ground. I think also in the area of geostrategic issues, his relationship with China has gotten that much closer. With the Russian Federation has become that much closer. And he's walked away from the potential of reconstituting a relationship with the United States. And that's the sad and dangerous part of the equation, where Kim Jong Un may have made a decision, and it's likely he's made this decision. He's going to rely on the Russian Federation. He's going to rely on the People's Republic of China. He's going to align himself accordingly, and he's going to sort of walk away from the US side of the equation. Having said that, however, I think Kim Jong Un, in his heart of hearts, knows that having a good relationship with the United States, normalizing relations with the United States, it has to be his primary goal. To be tethered to China and to Russian Federation is not going to give North Korea the future that Kim Jong Un apparently aspired to when he came into power in 2011. And we saw this in 2018 and 19 with his meetings with former President Trump. He wants a relationship with the United States. And now seemingly he's made a decision to go with Russia and China for obvious reasons, because that's the strategic issue. That's the security issue. And he's being provocative with the United States and our allies and partners, hoping that we in some way could re-engage and give him an incentive to re-engage. And that's the rub right there. How do you incentivize, if that's the correct word, North Korea to come back to negotiations? For us, it's self-evident. You come back and you talk because you're hurting economically. But for Kim Jong Un, a lot of it is face. He lost a lot of face in the Hanoi summit in February of 2019. He's remembering that. He feels he was burned on that. And probably some of the military people around them are saying, you can't trust the Americans. And that's why I think we saw in the very recent past, him coming out with a new nuclear doctrine of the preemptive use of a nuclear weapon and the first use of a nuclear weapon. So it's a big dynamic in North Korea that's going on.
Well, let me ask this question then. How did he get burned in 2019? Because it seemed as though the Trump administration offered him a lot more than any other administration had offered in terms of connecting with the U.S. But I think the thing that was on the table was complete, verifiable denuclearization and some other things essentially that had to do with the safety and security of North Korea itself, its neighbors, and the rest of the world. And he simply would not go along with that. So how did he get burned?
Well, JJ, we don't have the full picture, but the pieces we see sort of tells us that his advisors were advising him that when you get to Hanoi and you meet with the President Donald Trump, you put the Yongbyon nuclear facility on the table. And you say you're prepared to dismantle everything at Yongbyon. And mind you, at Yongbyon, it's not only the plutonium nuclear reactor, it's also a light water reactor they were building. It's a facility that's producing enriched uranium. There are a number of facilities on the Yongbyon complex. And he thought he was putting a lot on the table. And what he was asking for in return was the lifting of sanctions imposed subsequent to 2016. So he thought he was proposing something that was viable and that would be the U.S. would be amenable to. And when he was told that wasn't enough, he needed to put everything on the table, he walked away.
Well, pardon the interruption, Ambassador, but would that be enough in your eyes? Would that have been enough? Would lifting the sanctions be warranted for doing that?
No, I think it's hard to say when you look at it. I think first of all, I think the president made the right decision. He said to North Korea very clearly, you need to put everything on the table. He made that very clear. And this is what the North Koreans have been trying to obfuscate for since certainly the six-party talks, their highly enriched uranium program. What President Donald Trump was saying, you need to put your highly enriched uranium program on the table to include what you're giving us in Yongbyon, which is the plutonium program. And this is the pushback he got from Kim Jong Un because they're reluctant to give up that piece. So one, I think the president was correct in doing that. Two, I think it could have been the beginning of a dialogue where you say, that's not enough. We'll walk away from the table right now, but we'll have our negotiators talk to you about the highly enriched uranium sites that you have in North Korea that you need to put on the table. So So, you know, just stopping all negotiations was unfortunate, as we're seeing today. Uh, Was there an opportunity maybe of saying, look, we can't go along with you? Chairman Kim Jong Un, you need to give us much more than that because we know you have it, and get him to realize he has to be realistic if he's going to negotiate with the United States, certainly at the presidential level.
Yeah.
So could that have been the beginning of another dialogue where you have your principal negotiators work the particulars so that the next time you have your president meet with Kim Jong Un, everything is set in concrete. There are no surprises. Unfortunately, in Hanoi, there were surprises.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in politics, which is a part of the reason why I stay as far away from it as I can, is this round and round the bush. And, you know, you don't get anywhere, really. It doesn't seem as though you get anywhere. It's just the same thing over and over again. And
Right.
that's been the case with North Korea for many years. And, you know, folks, Ambassador Detrani was the U.S. Special Envoy to the six-party talks with North Korea back in the 2000s. And few people know better than he what the issue and the problem has been with getting a deal and keeping a deal with North Korea is. Ambassador, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, JJ.